No, because that was just general. Okay, so we're starting mini thesis. Yay! If I had any margin of time, I would pull the screen down and I'd have a big picture of a mountain, and I'd be like, this is Mount Mini Thesis. We're getting ready to start climbing the mountain. Now, does anybody in here hike? Not like technical climb, but has anybody climbed a mountain? Yeah. Okay, what do you know about climbing mountains?
They're super fun, but it's really hard.
It's hard and they're fun.
Killer calf workout.
What else? Wait, what'd you say?
Killer calf workout.
Okay, that's not what I thought you said. What do you usually take with you when you climb?
Water.
You take a backpack, you take water, you take food, like you have to have supplies. What else do you know about climbing a mountain?
There's obstacles.
It's better downhill.
It's better downhill.
There's obstacles.
There's obstacles like less oxygen. When you get to the top, do you ever go, this wasn't worth it?
No.
Never.
You do?
Well, sometimes.
No, it feels so good to get to the top of the mountain.
Usually, even if you have a blister, you're like, look at this view. This is so amazing.
I think it's because you're so tired that you're just in some you're just like, I'm just happy I'm done with this.
Sometimes, but it's a good tired. So there's one thing you didn't say that you usually need on a hike.
Your lights.
A map. You need a map. You need to know where you're going.
There's a trail markers though.
There are trail markers, but today what I'm giving you is the map, okay? And I want to go back to what Maddie said, fun and hard. Those two things can go together. That you, like right now when you're starting, you're always like, oh man, some of you might feel fresh, some of you might feel tired. But right now I'm going to tell you the most important thing that you need is a good backpack. You need to have your pack packed. And so what we've been doing all first semester is trying to give you tools so that you've got what you need. Now, I told your parents that some of you, well, this is what I said. I said, some of your kids have a full backpack. They've got everything they need. And others have a backpack that's partially filled. And then some don't know where their backpack is. Like, they never even got a backpack. But I don't think that's true of anybody in here. I would say that you guys have a well-filled backpack, and the fact that there were so many good grades on the last paper indicate to me that not only do you know how to write, you know how to follow editing instructions and things like that. Okay, so you are equipped, you are ready for this. So what I'm going to go over with today is something I call forecasting. It's when you look down the road and you kind of look at the big picture and you plan your life. Does anybody here ever do that? Do you ever plan, like, right? I know you do, and maybe you do. Okay, I love that. Forecasting is so fun. Organizing. But then there are other people, like one of my sons, who once upon a time, he was given 120 easy steps to your Eagle Scout project. And all he saw was 120 steps. He was like, I don't want to be an Eagle Scout. No, 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 no. And so sometimes there are those of us that get too much information and we kind of wig out like, oh my gosh, I can't do all that.
That's me.
Okay, so what I want to say, thank you, it's so good you know yourself. What I want to say is, this is big picture. We're forecasting, and if you know you're prone to be anxious, sit and breathe deeply for a few minutes. Yes?
So, if somebody might hear my fans flash right now, that's okay.
That would be, yes. Yes.
And like this one, fans, that would be okay.
Yes. Okay. And if, like, it's worth 2 points each.
So you want me to totally score it, or do you not do this?
Don't do that.
Okay.
That's enough. And just mark it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to do our roadmap. That's what we're going to go over, and I believe that your backpacks are filled and you're ready to go and you're going to be fine. But Tim, you are not so ready that you can afford to read a book while we're going over this. Okay. Okay, so this is what I gave your parents. Now, I want to know, did any of your parents give this to you already?
No.
Did anybody put it on the refrigerator and go,
No.
look? Okay, good, because in other classes they have. So, and if
His
so,
mom did.
I'm sorry, I so get parents that did that. But, so your parents kind of have an inside scoop because your parents are really good resources for you. There are things we need to ask your parents to do, like take you to Barnes & Noble and get a book, or the library, like get a folder for you. So we want your parents as allies in this journey. So some of this I don't need to go into too much detail. Your purpose, you're gonna write a 4 to 8. Just go ahead and cross it out. It's gonna be 5 to 8. It just will be. I don't wanna set your expectations that you can do this in 4 pages. It's gonna be 5.
9 pages.
What?
So it's really gonna be like 9 pages.
5. No. No. You think it's gonna be 9 pages?
9 pages?
I mean, some people got really long ones.
Some people did, but they had yes. So if you love researching, yes, it might be hard to keep.
I'm gonna find like a bajillion.
I know you are.
Pages and have to
And when you start researching, it's hard to we already know this from doing the history paper.
Yeah.
Okay? So 8 can be hard, but I think you need to have at least 5. Now, here's what we're gonna do. We're not just gonna write a paper, but for the next week, we're gonna look at how do we filter information. You guys live in the information age. You have, when I was in high school, you know how I did research?
Books.
I had to go to the library. There was something called microfiche. It was like a little film, and you put it on a projector, and you'd like push a button, and it would go across.
Oh,
and
that's
you'd take
so
notes
weird.
by hand. It was so primitive. I'd have to look at magazines. We did not have the internet. Oh, this so dates me. And I remember my dad telling me. My dad was kind of on the cutting edge of computers, and him saying, "Hey, I got this thing where it's called a word processor, and you could print your papers off the computer." I remember him saying that, and me like, "Wow, that's really cool. I don't have to use my typewriter." No, you could type it in the computer, and this printer will print it. That's where I came from. Now, you guys live in a more privileged age, but it is also really hard because you get so much information coming from you. And I do not want to debate this, but I'm going to use this as an illustration. 2 weeks ago, when the Capitol was stormed, okay, you heard some people saying, "Oh, those weren't Trump supporters. That was Antifa. That was Antifa." And you have some people saying Trump told them not to do it, and other people saying Trump caused it. You had people saying that the Capitol Police were collaborating with the protesters. Some said, "Oh, it was all the protesters." Some said it was 5. Like, so much information. How do you know who to believe? How do you know who to believe? So we're going to talk about, that's what we're going to do the next week, of how do you weigh information from multiple sources? How do you decide if it's good information? So that's going to be where we start. And that's like a life skill.
Is
that
if you can
need.
find a common fact in between here?
Yes. I won't go down there. We're going to start that tomorrow. So you're going to learn about researching and then arguing. Now, I'm really excited because you guys are a step ahead because we've already talked about ethos, pathos, logos, and you've already written one argumentative paper about masks. So you're already a little ahead, but how do we build a strong argument? And then how do we put it together in a persuasive paper? And then you're going to stand up and you're going to present it.
Oh, Lordy.
Okay? Now, one thing I want to say at this point, I've had a lot of questions, a little bit of anxiety about people seeing another person's name up here that's the opposite of them. And people going, "I don't want to go against them, they're good." You're not going against anybody. You're not. You're not debating. As much as I love debate, and I would dearly love to have debates about this, there's just not enough room in the curriculum. We might have some little crossfire where we do a couple very low-key debates, but what you're graded on is you're going to give a persuasive speech. Okay? Now, here's where I hope you guys will be collaborative. If there's somebody working on your topic, you know who that is. So if you find an article and you're like, "Oh, this is so good, but that's not for me." Well, it would be really nice, Maddie, if you said, "Caroline, here, I'm going to send you the link to this article. You might want to check it out."
Okay.
So research is hard. So even if you are researching a topic where somebody's on the opposite side, collaborate a little bit, okay? Okay, so you've got your topics. Now, this is your first assignment, and it's a really loose assignment. I'd like you to do it by the time we come back next Monday. Find a book. Find a book. That is the hardest thing when you go upstairs and you do senior thesis. Finding a book is what I say is the #1 way to find a senior thesis, because I've tutored students who cannot find books on their topic, and you're dead in the water. So your book can be checked out library book, it can be purchased from Amazon or Barnes & Noble. And you might have to be creative, like Campbell and Kate. I'm not sure there's been books written about the COVID vaccination.
My dad.
But even if there's not, then you go, vaccinations have been hotly debated for years. So maybe you get a book on vaccinations and free choice, or the harms of vaccinations. So you come at your topic from different ways. But I want you to do this by next Monday, because especially moon people, yeah, you too, if you can't find a book about a settlement on the moon, then we need to reevaluate, maybe reassign your topic, okay? So everybody needs to know by Monday that they can find a book. And for most of you, I'm familiar with your topic enough. If somebody's done it before, like Sarah Rhodes, I don't know about, I would imagine there's a book about government paying for college tuition. But nobody's done it before, so double check. Diversity, Caden, I would think that there is. And okay, this is important. You guys in the process of researching may decide to tweak your topic a little bit. And if I can use yours as an example, Caden is doing, should diversity be a criteria that colleges use in admitting students? Well, diversity, usually they look at racial diversity, they look at gender and sexual orientation diversity, and they look at socioeconomic, which is like basically, are you lower class, middle class, upper class? So you've got diversity in these 3 different areas, and Kate, you might start researching, be like, this is huge, I'm just gonna narrow it to racial diversity or gender diversity, okay? So you guys can do that, you just have to clear it with me. Josh.
When you say a book, you mean like, do we have a hard copy of the book in by Monday, or just know that there is?
I'm not checking you off on Monday. This is a soft assignment. I'm saying that we are really going to start running with research next week, so I need to know
That there is a book.
that you have a book. And why don't we switch over to this timeline?
Like, if we ordered a book off of Amazon, but we don't have it in our possession, but it's on its way, that's how.
So your 5 sources are due next Friday.
What? I thought we had
Next
10 sources. That's not
Friday. So you should have a book ordered. I would say you should have it ordered by Monday, but I'm saying I'm not gonna look at your book, I'm not gonna check it off until February 5th. And I'm gonna tell you right now what my pet peeve is. It happens every year. 1 or 2 unlucky souls. On the due date, they say, I didn't know I needed a book. For the love. I mean, have you been breathing? Have you been in class? You need a book. So I'm telling all of you, you need a book, okay? So I don't need to see it until next Friday, but you need to be thinking about it. Okay, question, Katie.
So like you were saying, can I use those like as my 3 subtopics or subpoints, like the different, like the racial and gender stuff?
You could.
Okay.
You could, yes. Mhm.
My dad said we needed 10 topics.
Your dad said what?
We need 10 topics.
10
I mean, not 10
sources?
topics. 10 sources.
What I said to the parents is you're required to have 5. Most are going to end up with 10. You're not required to have 10.
Okay.
Okay? Okay, so let's just look at this. The main thing, let's look at the top of this. I want you to see, every week is charted, what we're gonna work on. And there's a class focus. You don't need to know that. You don't need to drill down into those details. This is for me. But there's an assignment and a due date. So if you look at the due date column, most of your assignments are coming due on a Thursday or Friday, which is really good news for you. That means you work hard during the week. You are not gonna have assignments for me on the weekend. So that's a happy thing. Tim, is that a happy thing?
Yes.
Okay. But this is what you'll never, ever see. This is my due date, return. Like, I'm giving you the date that you will get it back. Now, part of that is because I believe in accountability, but part of it is the system with mini thesis, where we have a series of pieces that you're turning in. You turn them in, I dedicate time to grade them and get them back to you, so then you can learn from your mistakes to turn in the next piece. Does that make sense? So, the number one, well, Katie, what do you think is the biggest mistake somebody can make with mini thesis? Like, where could you go wrong?
Not having good resources or not having good, whatever it's called.
Organization?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that too. Okay, resources, organization. If you fall behind. So if you're like, oh, I'm not gonna be at school on Friday, I know something's due, I'll get it turned in on Monday. Okay, I have a cycle that I'm doing where I am dedicating my weekends for about 4 weeks to grading. So if you step out of the cycle, it messes things up for me and for you. So I get it so I can give it back to you. So if you're home, please look at Google Classroom. You have the ability, if you're not in class, that you can submit something with Google Classroom. And for whatever reason, right now there's this strange thing going on where people will stay home and they're not turning in assignments. And I don't understand it. You have Google Classroom. You have these due dates. If you're not gonna be here, you turn in on Google Classroom. We didn't have this last year, but you have it this year. Josh.
Okay, so how much, so I know this is kind of like the rest of the year.
Mhm.
Well, so that means that like the entire second semester, basically, all the grades is mini thesis.
Yes, Josh,
Oh, Lord.
So it's 100%.
with one exception. And some of you will cringe and some of you will be happy. We're gonna do a poetry unit.
Yes.
It's not writing poetry, it's reading poetry.
Oh, well.
It's good.
I like writing poetry better.
Okay, I know, and maybe it will inspire you to write poetry. But,
Deliver it.
okay, so you guys, big picture. You've got due dates and you can look through, and then you've got my dates that you're gonna get back. Turn to the back, and you want to circle what's at the top, final paper due Thursday, April 1st. Final paper due.
Then why do you present it like almost like a month later?
Okay, I'll explain that. So you guys, that's what we're working towards. That day is the next to last day before spring break. Now, if you know that your family is taking 2 weeks for spring break, I've already had one person tell me this, you're not gonna be there that week of March 29th. You need to turn your paper in, either before you leave or, find Wi-Fi and turn it in online. But your paper's got to be in before spring break, no matter when you're leaving, okay? So that's a really big date, and then you're gonna have a break. And then what we're gonna do is public speaking. I love this, because I'm a speech and debate person, and I think it's really important to be able to communicate what you know. So we're gonna be doing lots of exercises, like everybody will present their introduction in front of the class. And we'll talk about the qualities that make for a good speaker. And you will get analyzed, and people will give you feedback,
I
but
hate public
Do we
speaking.
have to watch that annoying guy that we watched
Yes,
last year?
Mr.
No!
That thing, the guy
What's
was
his name?
eating or
what's his
The
name?
keyword,
Mr. Rogers is not his name. I'm sorry for that. The super annoying guy that was like, they would always stand up. Huh?
Yeah, yeah,
The IEW guy. And he would stand up and he would public speak and we had to watch that documentary. It was
Mr.
terrible.
Uruguay,
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was terrible.
He is
It
the
was
worst.
terrible.
He's
It
the
was
worst.
so
Oh,
boring.
he's
Yeah.
just so Canadian.
Well, do
You
we have
just
to
have
watch
to.
it?
No.
Thank the
No.
Lord.
Thank.
Who were you
used to
talking
bug.
about? Did I show somebody weird last year?
No, I was talking about him.
You were talking
That
about him.
wasn't last
Okay.
year.
No, Mr. Pudua. I love him. He is not
Oh,
going to
Mr.
have a place
Pudua,
to
he is
Okay.
he's an odd.
So you guys, we're practicing delivery and we're doing poetry, kind of co-together. And then the week of May 17th, that entire week will be mini thesis presentations, and the next week will be the last week of school.
Can I go
Okay,
first?
wait. Did you
Can I
tell
go
us?
ahead and say that I want to go first?
You want to go first?
Yes.
I bet very few people will volunteer for that, Katie, so I'm not, really? Oh my God.
Yeah, going first is
I'll
not
go
good.
I'll go second. I'll go second.
Okay, well, so you guys.
I don't care because I'm
Oh,
terrible
my
at
gosh.
public speaking.
Horrible, 'cause everyone's
What will
starting
happen?
on
Yes.
your-
What will happen is there will be,
If you go first, then you're the best for like 30 seconds.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Well, then if you go last, nobody pays attention.
So,
Or, and then you have that
It's
burden on
scarier
you,
though,
but if
because
I go
all your friends
first,
are like,
then
all
I'll
your
have
friends are
like
just sitting back.
I know.
They're like, oh, I gotta go to sleep. So I'm like, okay,
You know
I'll
what,
just keep
Kate,
talking.
you're reminding me, everybody wants to get it done out of the way.
I went first last year. Oh, in my group.
In your group,
Yeah.
yeah. So, here's the other thing. I'm really hopeful that our remote learners will be able to come back for this. So you'll notice that Sadie and Logan, they are assigned topics within this, okay? Okay, so this seems like a lot, but we're gonna blink and it's here. And so to me, the biggest thing you can do, well, the biggest mistake you can make is not being organized, like falling behind. Every week there's something new. And you're going to do a detriment to yourself if you fall behind. Just stay on top of your assignment, okay?
Wait, can you have buckets for us so we can bring our sources in? So that we don't forget them?
I will have buckets and they will be labeled. Now, the other thing you do when you take a hike is you have rest stops. So we're gonna have rest stops. We're gonna have 2
Yes, do we have the campfire?
parties. We're gonna do our like campfire. Okay, so
What are you talking
last
about?
year, so you're working hard. So like on Friday, March 12th, that will be our first campfire. We will have a party. You'll bring food. We'll circle the desk. We'll tell stories. We'll have fun. Okay?
If we're allowed to eat in the classroom.
You're allowed.
Maddie,
Maddie.
do you want something? You want
Well, you know, protocols are always changing. But let me tell you, did I tell you guys what happened last year?
No. Oh wait, you guys weren't even here for.
You remember it, but you were in the 4th period class, so the last period, 6C, last year, Friday, March 13th. We are having a good time. We are telling stories and drinking soda and eating Krispy
On Friday the
Kreme.
13th.
And Mrs. Plasman comes in and goes, hey,
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah.
guys, I don't want to alarm you, but you know, there's a lot of chatter about COVID. And just to be safe, everybody take your things home for the locker. We'll be here. We'll probably be here on Monday.
We didn't come back.
We didn't come back.
That was the day we had Mr. McDonald's baby shower.
Oh,
That was the best day ever.
yes, because Mr. McDonald, that was that his last, that was his last day here.
Yes.
It was, but he could have taught us the next couple weeks.
Right.
I know.
Okay, so you guys remember that day. So when we get to Friday, March 12th, what,
Oh,
Lucy?
I said I remember that weekend really well because that night me and Catherine had a sleepover, and like the next day we were like, you know what, Kobe, we were like, I don't think you're supposed to do that. That was
No.
the last thing that I had like interaction with until like April or May.
Yeah.
I didn't
So
have
there-
interaction with people
There's
until
certain
June.
like defining things you guys are gonna remember when COVID came to town. But when we get to March 12th, for me, that is gonna be a really big celebration because we're back in school. And while we might go remote, I don't know, we're in kind of a hot season right now. I feel really confident that we will be in person for the majority of this, and especially 4th quarter as more and more people start getting vaccinations. Yes.
Okay, so worst case scenario, we all then shut down until like the end. And would you have to do presentations? Would we have to like take a video and send it in?
No, we do it live.
Or would we?
So
But that's so much better.
How that
I
works.
wish we could do it online, because I was so scared last year, and I was talking super fast. I can only imagine how fast it's gonna be this year.
So
That sounds so much
they
better.
did cohorts of 4, and you presented with a group of people.
And not like adults weren't judging you.
Yeah, well, you guys.
See, that's so much better.
So
It's in the back class. We have our first uniform up.
Yes.
On, you can stand right there.
It's gonna be
yeah.
like 6. Wait, how many people are gonna judge
It's like
us?
10 minutes of you just standing
Wait,
there.
we're getting judged?
Yeah, we're getting
Okay, whoa,
Yes.
whoa, put the horse back in the barn. We are not gonna
What the
freak
heck?
out about this. You are getting graded on your speech by me, and I have one other staff in here, and what I do is I ask them for their feedback. It's somebody like Mrs. Smith, or
Oh, Mrs.
Mr.
Smith's fun.
Yeah,
Presented
or
sometimes.
Mrs. Maple upstairs. It's,
That's scary.
It's faculty. Who's the librarian?
Miss
Miss
Burkett.
Burkett.
Yes, she's
Burkett's
lovely.
great. She's my
She'll-
third grade teacher.
Yeah, she will come and judge. So, but I'm the only one that grades you, so you're not being judged, okay?
But can you be asked questions?
And then you'll have 3 questions you can answer. Okay, so you guys, here's what I want to say. We've peeked ahead. We've got 5 minutes. We've peeked ahead at what is coming up, but now I just want to take us back to we are in the week of January 25th. You have your topics. You're looking for a book, and the last assignment is you need a folder.
I have one
I
on
already have
Walker.
that.
Now, this folder, you may have it, that's great. This is a folder that goes back and forth between you and me. This is not where you keep all your mini thesis stuff. Tomorrow we clean out your notebooks.
Yes.
I'll tell
hallelujah.
you, and it's gonna be really streamlined, and you will continue to put some mini thesis handouts in there. But this is for your sources, for your Annie chart, even though you don't know what it is, for your rough drafts, it goes back and forth. And if you must have a 3-ring notebook, it should be like a 1/2 inch thick. Because I carry these back and forth, so I like it to be kind of streamlined, okay? And then what we're gonna start working on tomorrow is looking at sources and evaluating sources. So you're not gonna really start your hard research until next week.
So I read this thing and we can't have any .com sources.
We avoid .com sources. .com sources because they're commercial, they're usually for
So they're
profit.
biased.
So they're biased, yes. Okay. Are you guys excited or